Amanda Henches. This is my first year as an agent. I'm out of Great Trail Austin.
Nice.
I'm Lindsay Baker. I'm out of the Vista office, and I activated my license in
Brandon. All right.
I'm Ashley Rubbick, and I'm on Danielle Seifert's team out of the Great Trail office.
How long have you been on Wolsey?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Mary Wilson, Remax Hilltop, 4 years.
4 years.
Lisa Letton, I'm in the Windsor Heights office, and I just got my license almost a year ago now.
Nice.
Ted Weaver, I'm out of the Vista office. I got my license in 2008.
Veteran.
My name is Ed Heathcote. My license went active almost 2 months ago, and I work here at the Grand Office under Kenny Koslerich.
Nice.
I'm Monica Janelle, and I've been licensed for almost 8 years.
Another veteran.
I'm Brandon Abbott. Excuse me, sorry. I've only been licensed for 2 months now out of the Prairie Trail office.
He's young enough where Sunday was a rough night. From sleeping at 9.
My name is Emily Martin. I am brand new, haven't started yet.
So you're brand new.
Brand new.
Out of the box, smell like plastic.
Yeah.
Brand new. All right.
All right, we got a couple people on the other end though. We'll have them introduce
All
themselves
right. We
too.
have Davenport people.
We have Davenport people. Hey, Matt Smith, do you want to tell us where you're at and how long you've been around?
Matt Smith, Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, he's in Cedar Rapids. You're on mute though.
We'll just read your lips.
He's still finding on. There you go.
We're getting our roof down here at our building, so it's really loud. Cedar Rapids office, Hiawatha, Cedar Rapids, Hiawatha, over 20 years.
Awesome. Tracy? Tracy Howell? Do you want to unmute?
That's all right.
Okay.
Got it. Okay, sorry. Can you see me now or hear me?
Yep, we gotcha.
Okay, Tracy Howell. I have been an agent since 2016. So go ahead. You get to introduce.
Hiding in the corner.
Well, we got some shy people over here. So.
Okay, who's hiding though? Because you can't get credit if I can't see you.
Well, you going to jump in? The picture?
Where do I need to be?
I don't know. Can you?
But we'll be selling holograms in the future. Show.
Go ahead. Just tell them who you are.
Mike Peasley with the Davenport office.
Yeah, it's nice to see you, Mike. All right, Jennifer Jacobs.
Hi, I'm Jen Jacobs, Hiawatha office, and I just got my license in March, so it's fairly new yet, but going well.
This would be good information. A lot of
Tony. Oh,
go ahead. And I do invite this to be kind of a fluid thing. So experienced agents, if you have something you want to add or something that's worked, or even worse, something that it was a big fail. You can feel free to contribute that as well.
Plenty of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
all right, Tony. Oh, you're on mute still.
Hand gestures are fine.
It depends on the
Yeah, it
gesture.
depends on the gesture. That's all right.
Okay, Tony, you're still muted. Let's grab Dana.
Oh, we got someone else coming on.
Yep.
I have nervous.
Dana, you're muted too.
That's stressful.
Okay, so we have Tony and Dana from Cedar Rapids. They're both muted and waving. Travis Irvin is driving, and don't unmute. You drive your car. Stop it.
Second Red Bull.
On a second Red Bull. And then Tracy Smizer looks like she's coming from home in Davenport. All right.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, especially the ones remotely, taking time out of your day. Obviously, listings is the name of the game. Buyers will come to you a little easier when you're new, especially if you're part of a team. You'll see those buyers come in hand to you. The listings are where it's at. Those that hold the listings, right? That's Mariah Clem. She's out of the land office. She's been selling real estate for 3.5 years or something. Like 4 years, 6 years, 7 years. Yeah.
3, 4, 6, 7, something.
Let you know you sell 7 years. So there's really two theories on taking listings that I've been taught. There's the one-step theory and the two-step theory. I kind of do the two-step. I think it's easier, but you have to be prepared for the one-step. You know, some people are like, no, I want to put it on market now. Most people need a little bit of prep, need a little bit of coaching, need to see the roadmap before. So this will be kind of broken up in 2 different ways. The first way will be you're actually invited over to do a listing presentation. The second half of this will be calling for sell by owners and expireds and generating listings on your own, okay? We're gonna go over the first half and assume that you were invited over to someone's home to do a listing presentation, okay? I would always, before you get into a house, it's really tough to try to come together on price, but if I was you, I'd do a little bit of preliminary research and try to see what you're up against, what's active on the market, be educated in what's sold recently. The last thing you want to do is tell them that their neighbor's house just sold 6 months ago. You need to know that, not them to tell you that. Okay, so do a little research before you go over. Be prepared. Be educated on the market. Know how many homes they're competing against. Know how many homes have sold in the last 6 months to a year. So you kind of have an idea of what that particular market, that particular area is doing. Does that make sense? Now, you'll have some handouts here. These are just very rough. You need to dress these up. And this includes the listing presentation, the marketing plan, and everything. It's a very basic one. And I'll give you some ideas on how you can beef them up. And there's certainly a lot of resources in your agent resource and your drives to help you do that, okay? So when I'm first invited to someone's house, I will do some preliminary research, and I will go to their home with this seller's questionnaire that you have on your top there. First things first, you need to compliment the home at some point. When you first, do not bring negative energy into the house. And sometimes that is hard, because the first thing you do when you walk in is you smell 5 dogs. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you can't do that. And believe me, and Ted probably, I've made a lot of mistakes. And actually, I learned the hard way on everything. So I always tell the newer agents, you don't need to make the same mistakes I've made. I've already made them for you. So if you guys have some questions or whatever it is, or not unsure about something, call me. I've probably made the mistake already. The key is trying not to make the same mistake twice. Okay? So I walk in and I made the mistake of like, well, we got to do something about this pet. That's my first thought to them. Comes out. Doesn't go well. Find something. Oh, I like the coast ceilings. Oh, I like how open this is. You know, I love your landscaping out front. Your, you know, whatever it is. Find something to compliment. Bring positive energy with you, okay? They're already uncertain. They're already nervous, possibly. You can't reinforce that with negative energy. Be positive. Be confident, okay? So once they show you through the home, and that's what I ask for is a tour of the home, I'm trying to build rapport with them the entire time. Things outside of real estate. If I see they have a Bears flag, I'm a Bears fan. I'll start talking about the Bears being 3-0 or the Cubs clinching the division or whatever it is, right? If they're dog people, I love pets. I'm trying to identify them with something. I'm trying to find some commonality. And at the basic level, we're all human beings. And at the basic level, they have a house they want to sell, and you're the person for the job that can get it done. Okay? So even on the big, there she is. Wherever you feel comfortable. Okay. We just started anyway. So when you're walking through the home, I try to sit down with them after I walk through the home and walk around the home. I'm taking notes about the property, its condition, things that we can do to enhance the value. I call it perceived value. You know, obviously cleaning, staging, maybe caulking some things, maybe neutralizing the wall. Most people that you go into their home will need some suggestions on what they can do to maximize the value. These are things that will take time, they will take energy, maybe they'll take a storage unit, but there's not a lot of cost in that, okay? Other people will have unfinished projects that you'll want to look at. Maybe it's flooring they haven't finished, or maybe I've been in houses where wiring sticking out of the wall, they haven't put the toggle switches in. We need to make notes of all of that. And as we're making notes of all of that, I want you to think about what type of financing that this home would qualify for. If it would qualify for financing at all. There's some houses I've gone into, they're missing walls. Like they literally took out a wall, it hasn't been put back. There's all kinds of wiring and plumbing sticking out. An appraiser's gonna go in there, they're not gonna be able to finance that home without finishing those projects, okay? But also from FHA standpoint, from a VA standpoint, what are we looking for, right? We're looking for insurance risk. We're looking for peeling paint that they consider lead. They're looking for a roof that lasts 3 years or longer.
Have you ever, I mean, is there a thing where you started integrating in certain extreme scenarios, like a pre-listing inspection, where you have like an understanding of even things that maybe you wouldn't know about or they wouldn't know?
Yeah, you know, in Davenport, Tom Bracey's actually a really big proponent. So was Lance Hansen when he was selling houses. I know Michelle and Josh have taken that to where they'll have an inspector and maybe even have an agreement with someone, right, Ted?
Yeah, John Clark does one for like $150, I think.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a bare bones inspection, doesn't do everything, but it does the main systems to it. And I use that as kind of a selling point for my services. Hey, I pay for this, you know, up front, and it's gonna help save you money down the road.
Absolutely.
You know, because you're not gonna get hit with gotchas, and you can do the repairs on your own time with your own contractors, rather than having the buyer require that you do, you know, use their contractor or whatever.
I want to build on what Ted said there because he said something that might kind of just blow by you here, but it's very important. If you don't do these things, and I was walking into your listing and now I find them on an inspection, it's going to be licensed electricians. It's going to be licensed plumbers. Now, I would never recommend that you have someone do something that would require a permit, but in that case, the wires coming out or, you know, certain other things like that, it doesn't require a permit. So maybe they know of an electrician that can come, maybe their uncle is a retired one that can come in and do some of these things on the inspect, put a GFCI in, and he's going to do it for nothing, right? You're going to make dinner for him. If I come in on an inspection, I need a licensed electrician company that's reputable, that has a receipt, and now you're paying hundreds, in some cases thousands of dollars more, okay? So when Ted says it can save you money and you can do it on your own timeline with your own people and your own professionals, that's kind of what he's saying. I don't want that to go over your guys' head. Does that make sense?
It's a selling point on the listing appointment itself.
Right.
Hey, I'm gonna save you money.
Yeah, and they might not know there's a drip in the kitchen sink. They might not know that the GFCI isn't firing in the washing machine or an exterior. These are easy fixes, especially they have electricians come over and do it. Then when the buyer does or elects to do their own inspection, these items have not come out. My question to you, Chet, does he look in the attic as part of his inspection?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. That would be a big part.
I don't
for me,
typically
too.
go on those pre-inspections, like for my buyers, I'll go on that inspection, but on the
Gotcha.
pre-inspection,
Okay, I just wondered, when you said basic for 150, I just wondered if they.
yeah, I mean, it's the mechanicals and it's the siding and the roof and, yeah, it should be
Right.
that too, so.
Okay, so that's a great point, and that's a great listing advantage if you're willing to partner up with an inspector and say, hey, $150 is pretty cheap. Most of you know it's $350 to $450 probably for the next buyer to do that. Okay, so I'm writing down all these things. I know if there's peeling paint in the homes built before 1978. I know if the roof won't last. I know if there's handrails that need to be put up. I'm looking at the electrical panel to see if it's one of those recall electrical panel boxes that might be flagged. That way I know if we're a candidate for FHA, VA, or what we might run into on an inspection, okay? And then I start, once I'm taking all these notes, and I break it down into exterior and interior. I just keep it basic. I write down, and I'm writing down the positives too, guys. I'm writing down fence yard, 2-car garage, new siding, new roof, concrete looks good. You know, it's not just the negatives. I want to refresh my memory when I'm doing the marketing remarks or when I'm trying to do the CMA, right? Take pictures if you have to. You know, a lot of times I'll forget to write down the bedrooms and the bathrooms, and I do the CMA. I'm like, oh shoot, was that I know they had a basement bathroom. Is it half bath? Is it 3/4? So photos can go a long way as well as your notes, okay? And then once, go ahead.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to the FHA and VA and whether a house would qualify. I know this has been highly debated in central Iowa, but when you have a property that you know probably won't go FHA or VA, you still list on MLS because everything is negotiable, and if they bring you a really good offer,
Yeah.
or do you just not deal with it?
Well,
Everyone has their own opinion on it.
yeah, and listen, I'm a big proponent of being an educator and a consultant to my clients. I don't think I make those decisions for them. I sit down with them, and you're my client, Mariah, I'd be like, listen, your home's built in 65 and we had some peeling paint on the outside. We accept we can offer FHA and VA. In fact, there's very probable in your price range that's the type of buyer we may work with. They're going to require us to do that. And I can get that done for you for X amount of dollars, have the resources to do that. Now, if it's the winter, if it's the winter time, with something that might have to be escrowed for or something like that. Is that something you want to deal with now, or is that something you want to take out of what you're offering? Let them decide. I'm an educator. I consult. I advise. This is what I see. This is my advice. Here's your options. What do you want to do? Right? So I don't leave that up to me. That's not my decision. I will tell, hey, out of these comps that we were pulling up here the last year, 3 out of 20 were FHA and VA. The good thing news now is you don't see a lot of FHA as you used to, right? I mean, it was very, very common for a buy to FHA, and I would say I'd see cash deals more than I see FHA anymore. I mean, now it's not a financing class, but if it's FHA, it's because their debt to income ratios are a little too wide for a conventional loan. It's the only reason you go with an FHA. Obviously, VA is something different, being a vet and all those things. But FHA, the debt to income ratios are wider, and that's why, if you have a 55% back-in ratio, that's why you go FHA. Otherwise, there's no advantage. You have that funding fee up front of like this 1.75. It actually costs you more to be an FHA loan.
Matt,
Okay.
I was also saying earlier to him that I have a contractor that I work with, and that contractor goes in, and normally we can say this is probably stuff that's issued on a FHA that we would need fixed. I can send him that information, and then he can send me a quote back, and he breaks those quotes out by individual line.
That's awesome. That's awesome from the standpoint that it is your job as an agent to be resourceful. That is one of the reasons and one of the things, the values you have that keep people coming back to you and want to use you. When people have problems and you can solve those problems, that's essentially what you are. And that's one of the functions of your roles as a real estate agent, is being able to solve problems. Okay, and being resourceful, of knowing someone who can do a roof or fix a fence or put in a window, that's a great value to people. Okay,
so a great way to stay in touch with your past clients.
Right, right. Now I would put a caveat on that you better deal with professionals. You better know that if I hand over something that they have an expectations. I've actually lost a client one time because my painter put his B team on these cabinets, and they were so dissatisfied that they're not happy with me because I made the referral. And I made that clear to my painters that you ever, but it's what you got to do. So now I go over the questionnaire. This is an interview process. I need to know how I can help the seller. And listen, these aren't the only questions you can come up with. And I put this together fairly quickly. I thought I had this outlined somewhere before. I know that Becca has one in there, but this one has a few more. Some of this stuff you'll know from the assessor's page, and some of it you'll pick up from as you're walking around the property. But how long have you lived in the home? What upgrades have you done to the home? And I'm taking notes as they're asking me. It's an interview process. When you're asking the questions, you're controlling the room. You're controlling the conversation, right? If you decide to walk into a living room with nothing but, knowledge and charisma, I will tell you personally, this is one of the things that I failed at. I used to be able to do that. I used to be able to walk into a room, I own the room, I walk in with charisma, bunch of positive attitude, and get your ass kicked by someone that has a nice presentation. Someone that has, statistics, someone who has, all the things we're going to share with you today. All right? So don't get caught up in that. Learn from my mistakes. You want to have charisma, you want to be confident, but you also want to have some kind of presentation. It starts with the questionnaire once you sit down, because you need to know their situation. So how long have you lived in the property? What upgrades and repairs have you done? Well, we did a new roof 3 years ago. We've done these few windows. We put in a new HVAC system. That's awesome. It's awesome. Compliment them. What do you love about your house? We love the yard. We bought the home for the yard. What I found is that the next buyer generally buys the home for the same reasons this buyer bought the home. School systems. We had to get in the school system. It's the best, right? And now, then I ask them, what do you dislike about your house? One bathroom. We got 3 kids. We got 1 bathroom, right? We got 1 car attached garage. Husband's always got it crowded. He's filling farting around with cars. I got to get a bigger garage. You can figure it out. Then I asked them if all the stars lined up, what would your ideal timeline be? Well, you know, we moved tomorrow. We had the right house and we had our house sold. Awesome. Now we have a motivated seller. We have a motivated buyer. I asked them blanket, what do they owe in their home? Just because they bought it 4 years ago for $160,000 doesn't mean that's what they owe. They might owe 120. I've also learned the hard way asking if they have more than one mortgage. A lot of people have these HELOC loans. They don't feel like that's a mortgage for some reason, or what I would call a lien on the property, right? They feel like that's some kind of cash, and sometimes it is. It's a flowing account that, you know, you can get 30 grand, pay off 15, then you loan, but that is a lien on that property. That the property is collateral for that. So make sure you ask them that. Ask them straight up. If I had some suggestions of things that you could do to enhance your property, maximize its value, do you have the resources to make those changes? Do you have a budget that you would have in mind that you'd be willing to do some of those things? People will straight up, man, listen, I gotta sell this thing as is. I'm in a bad spot here, bad spot. Or they'll say, no, you know, I got a couple $1,000 if it really would make sense. You know, I don't want to spend 2 and lose 4 or whatever. If it makes sense, I could spend a couple grand. Now I know what I'm working with as far as what changes, what enhancements might be the best, okay? I asked them if they've ever sold a home before. Have they ever worked with a realtor? What was that experience like? You know, you'll find out. Hey man, I worked with Ted. He's kind of combative. I don't like him. You know. No, you'll never hear that. You'll never. I asked them if they're interviewing other agents. I want to know if I'm competing. When are you meeting with those other agents? That type of thing. I asked them straight up what do they think their home's worth. You know, then sometimes you find a seller has more beat on the market than, you know, what's going on with their neighborhood sold for 2 years ago with this one, their friend down the street, right? They'll also ask you, well, that's what I have you here for. I'm like, no, of course, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you an opinion of what your home's worth. When I come back, I just want to know whether or not I'm coming in as a hero or, you know, that kind of thing. I asked them if they need the equity from their house to buy their next home. I actually had that question there twice, I apologize. I asked them if I sold their home quicker than they expected. Would they need time to find a new place? Do they have an alternative option? Well, yeah, we can always move in with our parents if we got the right home and we didn't have our other one, right? Now I know whether I need to have a talk with them about subject to home of choice, or whether this could be subject to sale and the advantages and the disadvantages of that, right? If I was unable to get exactly what you wanted for your home, do we have a plan B? Listen, I got to get this for my home or I'm renting it out. You know, if I can't get this from or they'll say, hey, I mean, I have some room to work here and I have to sell my home. We're taking a new job in Minneapolis. I have to sell this house. So now you know. I ask them what's most important to them in their agent that they select, you know, but in regards to the process as well. I just got to get as much as I can for the house, or sometimes price. I know price is normally a determining factor, but it's not always. So if you ask this question, the same scenario, I have to be in Minneapolis by November. I need to sell my home in 2 or 3 weeks. Even at the process of, even at the risk of you know, being very competitive on price, I need to get this sold. I can't have that house and this house, and we bought this home in Minneapolis without the contingency or sale of our house, right? Figure out how you're going to help them, okay? There's other questions that your minds can come up with together. Anything off the top of your head, Davenport, Cedar Rapids, chime in. Anything I'm missing here, I'm sure, is there anything that's out, you know, you would.
No, I mean, I think what I would say is there's a number of these questions that I try to ask the seller before I ever show up at their door.
So you do maybe a questionnaire on the phone?
Yeah, I talk to them on the phone. I mean, we set up the listing appointment. Hey, you know, what's your timeline for moving? You know, what are the significant upgrades that you've done so that I can factor that into my market?
There you go.
Because I do the one step.
You do the one step.
I do the one step.
Okay.
So I got to have all that information up front. So there's probably a half dozen of these that I get on the phone before I ever get to
right. And if you are going to do a one-step listing approach, then you definitely want to do all that. And the one-step listing approach, I would say the more experienced agents will be able to pull off. Or if you're in a market that you're very, very familiar with. You know, for me, for better or worse, I grew up Southside, Norwalk. I don't need to walk through your home to tell you what it's worth. I mean, I'll have a range. And when I walk through your home, I know where you fall in that range. And that's, you know, so you're going to be poor, good, great, or good, I'm sorry, poor, average, good, or great. Whatever floor that falls into, I'll know exactly where you fall in that range, okay? So get through your questionnaire, and then I have a conversation with the seller that we're gonna focus on 3 areas when I come back. We're gonna focus on the staging, the marketing, and the pricing. I call it the S&P of real estate. I try to keep things very simple for the seller, okay? So my staging report, I have a basic thing outlined here, and again, this is just very basic to give you ideas. I would definitely go deeper in this when you're creating this for yourself.
I've got a couple questions.
Sure.
Before we move on any further. So a couple of questions. First one would be, what's your approach when you go through all this stuff, you do the CMA, you come back to them with, a price, and then they still don't want to take your advice because they think their house is worth X amount, but it's not going to sell and you're going to have to reduce the price. Do you still list it at what they want you to list it at, or how do you handle that?
Remember those 3 areas: the staging, there's the marketing, and the pricing, and the stage. All that has to line up in order for it to move for a certain price. If they're not willing to stage it and market it and enhance the property, that's where my sales ability comes in and tells them why they need to do this, or we need to price it here. I also will go into why you need to price it here anyway, and how a more competitive offer is going to actually net you more. What happens when you overlist the property, because every seller thinks their home's worth more than it is, you'll find that out. You'll find out even when you're a seller, you're better off getting someone to walk through your property and get some opinions from your colleagues, because you don't think your home's worth more than it is. That's a common trait. But when you overprice your home, what I tell them what's going to happen is you're going to get all these people to walk through your house. You're going to help your neighbor's home sell more because it's priced competitively. And then as we start to take this home down over the next 30 days, 60 days, it's going to net you less actually than if you were listed here. So I can give you an example of this. Actually, this staging suggestion homes, this Townsend Avenue that you have in your hand, is one that's pending right now. We listed it 2 weeks ago. All the comps came in about 178, 180. But there was nothing else on the market, and those comps sold in a matter of days, okay? And I had no competition like that home for this. So I told them, I said, listen, I think we can get 185. I think we can get 185 for your home. And they, after we're getting ready to list it, they wanted to see if I would change it to 190. I'm like, I'm going to tell you if you can stretch that far. I said, an idea. Money was no object, guys. We'd be at 178, 180. But money is always an object. I said, we're already stretching at 185. I really think I can get you 185. And we even set ourselves up to where we'll get that or more. If we can get a lot of people in your home to compete over your home, we have a chance to get more. You stretch up to 190 and 3-4 weeks go by and we have to lower to 185, 184 to get that next. Now you're looking at offers for 176, 178, and they expect you to take that. You have to explain this to them. Now I have experience to go back on, Ted has experience to go back on. When I started in 95, I don't know when it shifted, maybe after the market declined and then we came back. But the theory was, if I told you your home was worth 185, we would list it at 190, buyers would come in at 180, and we'd leave it at 185. And that's the way it worked for a long time. You get 7,200 homes on the market. You could go home and you could think about it and sleep on it to see if you really felt strongly about the home. Even you new agents out there, that's not the market we're in. We're in the market where 8 people come through your home in 5 days and you either sold it or you're overpriced, or your staging's off, or you're not doing enough marketing. That's it. We're in a low inventory market. It's the same way in Davenport. I believe it's the same way in Cedar Rapids. So you need to be competitively priced because it's not time on the market now. It's people that have been through your home. 8 people walk through your home and they all pass within 3 days. You don't wait 3-4 weeks like we used to reduce it. You reduce it on the 4th day. And what I try to explain to my clients, and I believe it's worked really well, is that scenario is like, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if we take it here, you have to start reducing it. You are going to lose more money than if you price it here. If you price it here, we will get that or possibly more. And be very confident about it, okay? Now, the higher prices that you get and the higher price homes, the harder that is to determine where that sweet spot is. It's not only your pendings and your solds, but it's also what you're competing against. Whether you're shopping for boots or you're shopping for a car, we comparatively shop. And that's what we're doing with houses. right? We talked about in the buying seminar, when you guys watched that, it's the process of elimination. So we're walking through homes, eliminating, and one of them rises to the top. What price point do we need to be in to rise to the top? Okay?
So my second question was,
Sure.
would you take a listing appointment if you knew that you were competing against one of their family members?
Why not?
Well, I did. I mean, I lost the listing. I knew I was going to, but I wanted it for the experience. 'Cause,
Yeah,
you know, so
I
I
would.
would have to get my presentation ready
Right.
and do all that stuff just because I'm new. I mean, I knew going into it, they're obviously going to go with the family member. They were just having some family issues and things like that. So that's why they wanted to bring a second opinion in. I just didn't know from your experience if you knew going into it, you were competing against one of their family members. If you
I don't know that I can ever say I knew I was competing against one of their family members. I have had people call me and I wonder why they didn't call their family member and find out that some people just don't want to work with family in that capacity.
Yeah.
They like to keep business and family separate. And you'll be on that end too, where like one of your friends or one of the family members buys something else from somebody else, and you just have to respect that. That they like to keep family in business, unfortunately. You know, for us anyway. And sometimes it's better that way. If you've ever represented a family member, it can be better that you didn't, you know? So, when I don't ever leave the property on the first meeting without setting up the second one. And that second meeting is usually within 48 hours. I don't wait weeks and weeks and weeks to prepare this. I don't wait weeks and weeks to try to get back with them. I'm trying to get back with them while their motivation's high. Okay, and then I bring back a staging report and I try to, very rarely, it does happen that you walk in someone's home and you're like, we're ready. Like, you don't need to do anything. You're a minimalist, everything's clean, you know, it does happen. But we live, right? And our houses get scratched and they get dented and you have kids that spill everything. So these things need to be touched up. So I bring back that staging. We talk about depersonalizations, decluttering. I talk to them about how we're bringing professional photographers in, and I need them to look at everything through the lens. If I got a bunch of stuff on the countertop, I don't see the granite. I don't see the backsplash. Well, I see cereal boxes and spatulas and toasters and bowls of fruit. There's a nice balance of stuff on there, but all things being equal, I'd rather have it be bare rather than cluttered. I don't want cereal boxes on top of it. I don't want beautiful kids' artwork on the fridge. We got to get rid of all that. We got to go through our closets, especially if we don't have a lot of closet space. Here we are going into fall and winter. It's just about time, unfortunately, to pack up our t-shirts and our sandals and all those things. Tote them up and get ready for the fall and the winter. Get rid of your summer stuff, your bathing suits and stuff. Tote them up, put them in the basement, put them in the detached garage, nice and neat. Go get a storage unit. That would be more ideal. Okay.
So what do you do if someone doesn't want to have their home staged? Because we had a listing this.
Well, staged professionally is different than me telling you how to stage it with your own stuff. And really, it's more like, okay, like this house on Townsend, it's a good sized living room, but they have this big couch, and they had a love seat against a wall like this when you walk in the front door. Well, this alley walks into the kitchen. You gotta remove it. I don't care where you put it, it can't be there.
Well, we just had a listing this summer, and they just, we tried to get them staged professionally because they just had so much stuff, and they got rid of a lot of stuff and put it into a storage unit. But she was so in love with her furniture pieces and her antique pieces that she thought that they were just so beautiful, and why would someone not want to come in here and buy my home after looking at how beautiful my furniture is? But long story short, we ended up having to go over there with our team, and we staged it with her furniture. But it just took a lot of our time to go there and do it. I didn't know if you ran into situations like that.
Yeah, you gotta be very careful because people are proud of their stuff. So sometimes you have to say, man, you got a lot of nice stuff here. And I can see why you want more space. But you have to understand, when you look at the best properties that are staged, the mantra you have to have in your head is less is more. I can't have them visualizing all your stuff. I have to see, they have to be able to visualize their stuff. And the more of your stuff that's in here, the less that happens. They come into this house, it's a house. When they leave, it's gotta be a home, right? There's an emotional process that takes place in that 20, 25 minute show. And the less stuff I have of yours here, the easier it is for me to make that process happen. Does that make sense? Yes or yes? I don't give an option for no.
I have a really good tip from one of my old coworkers in Minneapolis. She taught classes on how to stage your house. And so if you don't want to be the bad guy to be like, oh, your furniture is really gotta go, you can share YouTube videos. Like she had an actual a DVD that she gave out to all of her clients. And then it was her as a professional showing this is how you need to have your house look. So you could share YouTube videos or stuff like that, or articles. And that kind of takes away some of the pressure on your end. So it's not just you, but just everybody in general is saying, hey, you've got to do this to get your house ready.
Yeah, it was just a
This
really
takes it
awkward
off.
situation because we were like, okay, this needs to go, and then we carried it out to the driveway, go into the storage unit, and you could tell her feelings were getting hurt,
Yeah.
So it was just a really weird situation.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt feelings.
Yeah.
That's why I have other people say it.
Yeah, I agree with Mariah. I do something similar, but I bring in a staging consultant after I have the listing, and she plays the heavy. Oh, this carpet's got to go. We got to replace it, or whatever. And so she's the bad guy. I'm the good guy.
You just gotta quantify it for me as a seller.
Right.
Like, all right, carpet, $2,500, I get it. Where's that showing up on my estimate of proceeds?
And that's why I'm always there.
$2,500 more, because if I'm not, then if the difference is the money I have now, and you might say time is money, you might say, time is money. So you might just show how well, might not conflate dollars and cents, but we're gonna sell your home faster. So you gotta be able to justify that. But I like the idea of bringing somebody in. There's virtual staging too if the home's vacant. There's those options as well. But I always tell them, hey, listen, less is more. Everybody lives this way. So you want to see a shit show? Come to my house. I got three kids. Which is total lie. My house is always clean because my wife's OCD. But they don't know that, and they understand when you have 3 kids how life can get away on you. So I just tell them, I say, let's just spend a weekend or so power washing the outside, power washing the drive, getting rid of some of the bulky stuff, and anything I tell them that you can live without. You don't absolutely need for your day-to-day life's got to go. Like the Cuisinart and the cake mixer. We're not making a cake in the next 3 weeks, right? All right, let's tote it up.
Your message is you're moving. I'm going to sell your house.
Yeah.
So if you don't use it every day, pack it up.
It's got to go. I want your cabinets to be. I want your labels out on your canned goods. That's how I want it. I want to wash your. I want you to spend time cleaning your windows. I want to make sure there's new light bulbs everywhere. Nothing worse than walking in and hitting 2 or 3 switches and no lights turn on. They think there's an electrical problem. No, you just have to put light bulbs in. Let's put some light bulbs in everywhere you go. And your storage units too have to be clean and organized. Just because it's a storage unit doesn't mean I can walk in and crap's falling all over me. It's got to be clean. It's got to be organized. And I call it perceived value. I give them the idea, like, listen, if I was buying a car and let's line up 2 cars, same exact color, same exact model, same exact miles, interior package, everything, right? And one of them looks like it was detailed showroom shine, and one of them was on a gravel road for the last 3 months. Which one do I perceive to be more valuable? It's that simple.
Yeah.
That's what I need you to do with your house.
So I've been a relocation specialist for a long time. And we have, when you're a relocation specialist, you're dealing with relocation, you have a very short amount of time to sell that house in. And one of the main questions within the past few years we've had to ask was, how do you feel about the house not being yours? What is one of your favorite things, and what is one of your least favorite things about your house, like you asked? But then reiterate that the house is no longer yours. The house is going to be somebody else's. So we need to present it as it is going to be somebody else's and not yours anymore. And that comes down to decluttering and
they might love the
things
orange
out.
wall, man. They might love it, but that might hamper a quick sale. In a paint it's $300, right? Might need 8 coats, but $300. So
real quick. So what if we have a house that needs a lot of work to even think about listing, and we're looking at houses and they're getting excited, but you're getting to the point where they're getting so excited about houses that the perfect house will come along at any moment. Yet we have this cluster of we're 60 days from even wanting to take pictures, and how would you navigate?
Well, there's a
would you
couple
just stop
ways.
looking?
No, you don't get excited. The more they get excited, the more they're motivated to get their home together. You got to reiterate that, hey, we got to make some things happen. Can I help you? Can I bring some people in and, you know, get a storage unit and help you with movers? Can I help you with painters? Can I help you with these things? You know, I've come in and just bought homes from people before. Say, hey, listen, your home's worth this. You don't want to do all this to it. I'll give you this for it.
That'd be great.
You walk away. You know, it's work. But then they don't have to put a subject to proceed sale on it. And there's all kinds of different things, but generally you want to get someone out showing up just to get them excited and know that, hey, we will find something in your range. We saw 10 homes in the last week or so, and 2 of them you really liked.
Right.
We know we're going to find something you like. Now it's time to focus on this. Okay.
And Dana's agreeing with all this too. She says that to remind them that they're not buying the furniture, they're buying the house, and they need to be able to see the house. And she brings in a stager on the second appointment as well.
That's just, okay. So again, resourceful, right? You gotta have all these people in your bag of tricks, right? So I tell my people too, listen, we gotta clean, we're gonna clean. Then when you've done cleaning, we're gonna clean it again. Like, that's how clean this home needs to be. Okay, I said there's one common denominator. I'm sure those experienced agents Ted can tell me. When people come in and buy a home and it's like that 1 day, 2 days on the market, 4 offers, the one common denominator is clean, isn't it? I mean, is that, man, this house is so clean, it's so nice, it's so well taken care of. And it just doesn't take that much to take some, I know, paint they probably have in their storage that matches and just kind of dab it in, clean up the trim and get the hair out of the ductwork and the vents and the dog hair. I mean, you know, I tell them that this perceived value we're going to do is going to translate into $3,000 or $4,000, could be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 more for them, just for the effort. We're not even really talking about money. We're talking about time and effort. Power washing, there's no money in that, other than the water you use and your time. Touching up paint, cleaning your refrigerator, cleaning your backsplash, cleaning your toilets, cleaning that showroom shine everywhere. That's just time and effort, right?
And it's when you don't, like, there's a couple houses, there's one on Jackson, maybe some of you guys have been in, it's just like, you wonder why, I mean, like, the dishwasher's still there with towels shoved under it. It's like, they say they have a garage, but it's got like particle board making up the wall by just like leaning against the frame of the garage. And it's like,
yeah.
Why did they, I mean, where,
well,
those not value their own time.
The one thing that can counter that is the last piece, and that's price. If you price it accordingly to being cluttered, mechanical mess, you can still sell it. It's just gotta, you told me you want to sell it for the highest value possible. Well, if this is what we're working with, that's what this price is. If you do this for me, this is what this price is, okay? So let's talk about the staging. We go through the staging. Make sure when you do your staging, if you're gonna give them tasks to do that cost money, like, you know, paint a wall or repair some siding, you go from most important to least important, okay? That way, you know, and I tell them, I understand if you can't chew and digest all of this, but let me know what you can and I'll help you do it. The marketing plan. I do this kind of 2 ways I'm trying to sell. People want to, first of all, know what you're doing for their money. If I'm paying 6, 7% or whatever the heck it is you charge, I want to know what value I'm getting, okay? I would use a lot of visual aids with this. This is a very basic, just kind of give you some ideas. And if you're a new agent and you can't rely on the success, your past success, bring the company with you. You guys are the only brokerage in town that sell 25 units per agent, okay? We are 11th in the country when it comes as a company. So bring the company with you. Now, if you're someone who has your Danielle's team, bring Danielle with you. She's a $65 million agent a year. You can count on one hand how many agents do that in the state of Iowa, right? Bring the success with you. You're in Prairie Trail. Who sells more houses than Danielle in Prairie Trail? You know, you get on the south side of Des Moines, you're in trouble. I don't think Danielle's ever been on the south side of Des Moines. You know, so trying to get her there. She ain't coming. And then start going over, you know, what you're doing from a marketing standpoint. Talk about the power of the MLS. You're dumping it into the area where 96% of the buyers reside, right? If you're a fisherman or a fisherwoman, you want to fish in the ocean, or do you want to fish in a stream or some pond that has, you know, I'm putting you into the ocean. So they talk about for sale by owners, and maybe we'll do this on our own, or flat fee brokerages. you on nationally average get 5% more than, so it's not just what you're gonna do to sell the home, but it's the success and why to use an agent. And last but not least, sell the processing side, right? We're gonna negotiate your offer, get you through inspection, get your abstract, get your mortgage paid off, get your title, get your termite, get your appraisal, do your settlement. You know, see where I'm going here? If you're a seller that's not familiar with all this stuff, you start to say, what? Like, yeah, this is what we do every day, all day. Let me take this off your hands. It's a great tool, again, with for sale by owner, we'll get to in the second half of this, because they don't understand what it takes to get them through the process. And chances are they're gonna fumble it along the way, which causes delays, causes rate locks, expirations. It's not easy to say, you know, movers are scheduled. Oh, we didn't close this Friday. Sell, I don't think so. We'll just do it next Friday. No, we won't. No, we won't. My rate lock expired. My movers were scheduled. I had family helping me. We're not doing it next Friday, you know. So that's what happens with the sell by owners. Not used to getting through the process. So the marketing plan. Talk about hiring professional photographers, talk about doing virtual tours, talk about doing drone, talk about the algorithms, doing targeted marketing online and where those things are. If you're a premier agent on Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, talk about the money you spend and how that leads coming to you. And no one's more motivated to sell your home and no one's more capable and educated to sell your home than you are. Talk about open houses if that's part of your marketing plan. Talk about mailers, direct mail orders if that's what you do. And also break it down. Like the MLS is probably, I don't know what the statistics are, but you probably get them. What percentage of that is going to sell your home? Is that where 38% of our sales come from as being part of the MLS, another agent sells it? How about direct mail? Is that 5%? Open houses, is that 3%? You know, the ads online, is that 12%? You know, talk about where your buyers are coming from. Listing booklets. You know, you should have something there that has the seller's disclosure in it. It should have the school information. It should have average utilities, maybe a Google map with where all the shops and the bike trails are, right? See where I'm going? So talk about what you're going to do to sell the home. Lockbox. I know that sounds stupid. The two things are a lockbox and a sign. Like, no duh, you get a lockbox and a sign. But you got to understand that, especially in the climate where we're coming up on an election, there always seems there's an election, whether it's local or national. And also when someone does a roof or siding, there's signs in everybody's yard, but man, when you see a RE/MAX sign, you unconsciously, as well as consciously, know that home's for sale. You don't even look at it and go, oh, is that a Biden or a Trump? No, it's a RE/MAX sign. It's got the balloon. The home is for sale. It's the most nationally recognized and worldwide recognized brand in the nation. No one sells more real estate on a local level, on a national level, and a worldwide level than RE/MAX. That's what I mean by bringing in the brand with you. Lockbox. I would spend the time talking about the lockbox because, number one, if you didn't know, it's only active from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m., I believe. Is that right, 10 p.m.? 8 p.m. 8? No, I think it's late.
No, mine goes from 7:30 to 11.
So you can customize.
You can customize the
time. Mine are set for 8.
8? Yeah. Well, in the summertime, that's not enough because it doesn't get dark till 9. So I would probably at least have it till 9, maybe 9:30. But if any of you have ever been outside of a house at 7:50 in the morning, you know you're sitting there waiting for the clock to turn 8 if you haven't customized it. So it's important to let them know that some crazy deranged realtor isn't going to be sneaking in their home at 2 a.m. if they leave this thing outside.
Well, the reason mine's to 11:30 now, I had a client lock her keys in her car and she needed to get back in her house. She couldn't get in. Well, the lockbox expired at like 8 or 9. So now I have it extended to 11 because it happened at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, well, see, I didn't know you could customize it. There you go.
I did learn that it's also like standard, it's set to Eastern time. And so you can go in and then change it to Central time because I had a home inspector a couple of weeks ago try and get into a house at 9 a.m. and he could, or 8 a.m. and he could not get in. So that was really frustrating because she had her lockbox set to Eastern time.
That's crazy. Well,
or no, I'm sorry, Pacific, because then it was like technically 6 in the morning and he can open.
Gotcha. So I also let them know that it records who's been through, how long they've been through, and it also helps pepper the agent for feedback. Okay, feedback is one of the things that should be on your marketing plan. You know, good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent. It's important for me to share the feedback with you so we can review it and see if there's some kind of commonality, right? Smells like dog, smells like dog, smells like dog. All right, we gotta do something about the dog. You know, it's dying. We talk about agent tours. I know that's not something but sometimes you need an agent tour. Sometimes if you're having development, sometimes you're launching something, we don't see our company participate as much as we probably would like, but with the proper preparation, you probably pull off a good agent tour. If you can get other agents and other companies that have listings in the area and you all pull together and you all do something and market, you probably could get a good agent tour and share that feedback, right? And now also keep in mind the company boost your listing for the first 6 days on Facebook. We boost your listing for the first 7 days on AdWords. It's all marketing. I put it in your marketing plan. I have a newsletter, which is, over 4,000 people that we put on there. Social media sites, targeted ads, virtual tours, all those things. And then I start going into the processing actions. And if I was you guys, I'd get a little bit more robust in that too. The more you put in the processing is the more the seller starts to think that if I didn't have you, this is what I have to do on my own, okay? Which is all true. So move on to staging, we've done the marketing, and now let's move on to the pricing. I do my CMAs through the MLS, and when I bring it back, I don't know if you guys have a copy of my CMA here, this one. And then with my CMA, I also bring the listings with the full gallery photos behind it. The comps that I use on my CMA, I bring the full listing, stapled, I staple them individually, with the photos behind it. I need to show the seller what the home's worth, not tell the seller what the home's worth. I need them to be convinced what I'm seeing, they see too. Now, we also talked about homeowners being biased. Well, they don't have that bathroom in the basement. You'll see in my CMA here, all these houses lined up side by side, and they are adjusted accordingly to their differences. So if you would, let's just look at subject property 621 Jackson, and the first adjustment is 1418 Cherry. You'll see where I plus them the difference in square footage. You'll see where I plus them, where I minus them, they had no finish in the basement and someone else did. You'll see where I minus the bedrooms. You'll see where there was no change in the bathrooms. And I rate the home on condition from poor, average, good to great. Poor is just that, maybe unlivable, the way it is. We're talking investor pricing. Average is just that too, it's average. It's been well taken care of, no real significant upgrades. You probably need to cosmetically update it and some mechanical stuff, but it's kept up. It's just an average shape. Good will have either cosmetically it's got a lot of updates, but mechanically there's still a lot of meat on the bone, or vice versa. They've done roof, windows, HVAC, but cosmetically it's a complete overhaul. And then great is just that. Really, it's turnkey. It's walk in. Everything's done. Everything's going to last 15 years or longer. Everything looks and feels like today's styles and trends, right? And then I'll put those comparables based on the photos and the market remarks that I see, based on my notes that I took from my walkthrough, and I'll make those adjustments. Now, listen, I tell my sellers this exact quote I use. There's a science to this. It's just not an exact science. Okay, so that's why you might give them a range.
Where do you pull your adjustment?
Great question. Jeremy Anania is an appraiser here with us. He's also a licensed agent. He's been nice enough to share some of those things that he uses on adjustments from a 3rd-car garage to a 2-car garage. If it's got 1,100 square feet or 900 square feet, if it's got a finished basement versus not. Now, you gotta understand, a $160,000 home with a finished basement with 8-foot ceilings and a concrete block foundation is different than a home built today with 9-foot ceilings and a walk-behind bar and 2 bedrooms and a full bath. That finished quality level has a price per square foot that $168,000, $180,000 home will never have. So it's pretty much on a scale of whether or not, $15 a square foot if it looks like grandma's shag carpet, maybe paneled walls, stuff like that, $10 to $15 a square foot, versus something that's pretty nice for $180,000 homes, drywall, recessed lights, carpet, no egress, just finished, versus, you know, the brand new homes that might get $45 a square foot.
So this is from your experience for like a chart that you
Yeah, do you have like a?
We can share that, and unfortunately.
It's in Drive.
It is in the Drive. Jeremy has shared that here in Des Moines. Davenport and Cedar Rapids, I rely on you maybe to, because we'd love to have that in your areas as well. You'd have to let us know what kind of resources we could call.
DMAR also has a copy of that too. So you
DMAR
can
does
get
as well.
directly from DMAR as well.
There you go. And then you'll see one home never sets the market. We don't know the variables behind that sale. What was the motivation of the seller? What was the motivation of the buyer? You know, that's why we need 3, 4, 5, 6 comparables reconciled to get an average. That makes sense? Someone could have been in a bad way and needed to sell that home, and you're like, God, we thought they would have got more for that. You know, they might have. They might have just needed a quick sell for whatever number of reasons, right? Okay. And then with this CMA and the comps that they can see, I'm going through there and showing them the interior photos. So they can see how they have the new cabinets and the backsplash on the floor and the countertops and the appliances. And ours are still 1972, everything. We need to be, that's the adjustment for condition that you'll see on that. And you got to understand too, as a real estate agent, that you don't get dollar for dollar on a lot of the upgrades. Usually finished basement, if it was done competitively enough by a contractor, you'll make money there. But just because I spent $8,000 on a brand new shingle roof does not mean my house is worth $8,000 more. And conversely, just because it needs a roof for $8,000 doesn't mean I need to minus them $8,000. That's not how that goes. Okay? Kitchens and bathrooms are the primary focus when it comes to people wanting upgrades. Those are your most expensive updates. Updating, anybody that ever flipped a home knows the common areas, painting walls, trim, and living room is far less expensive to make it look updated than the kitchen and the bathrooms. Okay? What time we got? All right. We're going to switch this over because the last hour's got to be on. Now, you guys have to ask for the sale too, right? I mean, once you're there at the CMA, we are prepared to take the listing. We have all the listing documents, whether it's on Dotloop and you're there with your laptop or you physically have them in hand, we're there ready to take the listing. If the listing's not coming on in 2 weeks, we just date it for 2 weeks. All right? We're there to execute.
I just mentioned too, if you are going to use the matrix CMA, you can customize these headers and footers as well. And the main page for that, you'll just go into your settings in the upper right hand corner. So I know Cedar Rapids, you're on matrix as well. Paragon, I would assume you have that capability, but I haven't been into that. But yeah, you can completely customize that.
Okay, cool. All right, now the sell by order and the expired scripts, first of all, you have to get over your fear of rejection. We all have it. No one likes it. Listen, the worst thing you're going to hear is lose my number, don't call me. Okay, that's the worst, right? And you very rarely hear that. Very rarely hear that. So we have 2 scripts here. We have the sell by owner script and we have an expired listing script. This is what you can use to manufacture listings on your own if you want to do this. A lot of agents do this. A lot of agents fail with this for what I think are 2 key reasons. Number 1, let's go over the sell by owners. You have every agent calling them day 1, day 2, day 3 that this comes on the market. They're not really ready. They haven't failed yet. They still believe they're going to sell it on their own. There's a few fundamental reasons why they may not, okay? So not only have they not failed yet, but they also have a lot of other agents calling them, so they become overwhelmed. The second reason why agents fail at doing this is because they don't follow up. They expect to make one phone call, owner invite them over, and let's just sign the listing. That does happen sometimes, but a lot of times it doesn't, and I think asking the right questions, what the script will go through, will help you determine the best course of action to follow up. But if you can put a strategy in place to constantly follow up, you have a good chance of getting these listings. So I would say 3 or 4 years ago, I was charged with teaching people how to get for sale by owners and expireds. And to be perfectly transparent, I don't do it very often. But I'm not scared. I never really have been. And so I said, I'm going to start calling for sale by owners before I teach this class. Call like 10 people, took half the listings. This can be done. And I use the script that's in front of me. So what I would do is I'd print off the assessor's page of the house I want to call. I put this on top, and the conversation becomes an interview. And I'm always coming from a place of help. I'm not coming from a place of sales. I'm coming from a place of help. There's two things that are universally true. Number one, if they haven't sold their home on their own 30 days, they want to know why. Expired, if that home was listed by an agent and it didn't sell, they want to know why. So my position is, I'm going to tell them why. I'm going to show you why your home didn't sell. And then I go back to my staging, marketing, and pricing, because I believe those things aren't lining up. Now, for sell by owner, I'm going to focus on the marketing. If it's expired, I may focus on the marketing, staging, all of it. Right? So let's go through the for sale by owner script, and this is how this conversation might take place. Now, you have to be able to think on your feet. You can't be robotic. This script is here to guide you, not just, any conversation with any person is going to take on its own life with its own fluidity. So be quick on your feet, be ready to be good. So I'm going to go with Ted here. Ted's my for sale by owner. I'm going to call Ted. I'm going to say, hey, Ted, I see you have this home on 123 Main Street for sale. My name's Matt Mauro. I'm a broker with Concepts. Would you have a few minutes to answer some questions about it?
Sure.
Now I go in there. Well, I see yours. And again, this may not be in order, so I'm just going to go off the top of my head. Well, I found your home on Zillow. Ted, is there any other places you're advertising other than Zillow?
For salebyowner.com.
For salebyowner.com. Great. I see that you've had it for sale or trying to sell it by owner for 32 days. Is that correct?
Yes.
How many people have you had in your home in that time?
Half dozen.
Half dozen. What kind of feedback? Is there seem to be a lot of interest on it? Is there one common denominator that why hasn't sold?
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything specific.
See how this is going in a conversation? It's just two people having a conversation. Ted, when you get your home sold, where will you be going?
We're moving out of state, moving to California.
Awesome. What's that timeline? You got something bought in California already?
Taking a new job.
Congratulations. What do you do?
I work in plastics.
Way to pollute our oceans, Ted. See how I'm going off script, not even looking at the script. I'm having a conversation with somebody. He's a little bit confrontational up front, doesn't know my agenda yet, right? It'll all be revealed. I'm going to see him. So let me ask you how you determined your asking price, Ted.
Oh, I just looked to some of my neighbors and saw what they were selling for, and I thought I could probably get that.
Probably get that too.
Yeah.
I mean, so let me ask you: is there a timeline if you haven't? Why you can go before that and say, is there a reason outside of course just saving the commissions that you didn't hire a real estate agent?
No, it's just save the money.
Save the money. Have you had agents get a hold of you and ask you about the buyers coming through?
Yeah, I've had too many.
Too many. Have you been willing to give the buyer's agent a 3% to 3.5% commission as a broad buyer?
Yeah.
I'm halfway there. Right? He's willing to pay buyer's agent 3.5%. I'm halfway there. Maybe less, depending if I make that a deal. Right? See how I'm asking questions to see how I can help them. Let me ask you one more quick question, Ted, and then I'll let you go. If there was a certain amount of time that you weren't able to have success selling your home, that you would turn this over to a professional?
Yeah, I was thinking about giving it 60 days and then I would see.
60 more days? Yeah. If I was able to meet you at your home and give you some suggestions on how you might accomplish your goals for sell by owner, give you some more marketing ideas and other things that you could do, maybe some staging suggestions that would enhance your property, even do a CMA for you to make sure that price point falls in line with what you said to your neighbors, would that be something you'd be interested in me doing?
Well, maybe, but how about give me another 30 days before we do that?
Do you know 30? Okay, perfect. Ted, I will follow up in 30 days. I'm actually going to send you a letter today for just thanks for taking your time to talk with me. I know you weren't anticipating this phone call. If your timeline moves up at any chance where you want to meet me sooner, I know I can identify the reasons why your home hasn't sold yet, and it would cost you nothing. There'd be no obligation. It'd be mine. I'd welcome the chance just to meet you. All right?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Well, now I know I got to follow up in 30 days. I want to have at least 1 or 2, 3 touches before I meet with him. Okay? Ted didn't roll right over and say, come over and list my house. It's a slow play game, right? I also know that if I have a buyer that meets Ted's house, he's willing to pay me 3.5%. No, right? And I do that with every single body. Everybody, you have a CRM that you use, and that's how you keep track. That's how you keep things going. If you have an assistant, you have a process. This goes to the assistant. The assistant has the touches that we already know you're doing. Send out, maybe send out a personal handwritten letter. The handwritten letter is very powerful because that art is gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
So I might say on a handwritten letter, Ted, Matt Mauro here again, thanks for taking the time to talk with me.
What system are you using to track all your,
I don't do this anymore, but my CRM is Constant Contact. That's what I use. I'm looking to move that though, because I'm $90 a month, like $135. I'll probably start to move it to the lead street in preparation of Boosh coming out if that ever happens. So we'll see. We're also waiting on the second coming price.
I do think the key is that commission, because most of these FSBOs think it's 6 or 7%. Well, if you're going to pay a buyer's agent, like you said, you're already halfway there. I, as a listing agent, only have to show that 3% value. Here's what I can get you a higher price. I can save you money, whatever. So I've only got to prove that 3% or 3.5%, not 7%.
Right. So what you could say is I have a flexible commission structure, Ted, that would save you money. You know, and now when I go in for sell by owner and I go into why for sell by owner, why you should go for sell by owner, I usually pull back on my experience and say, listen, these buyers are savvy. You're going to come in either with an agent where you're paying 3.5%, or they're going to come in and they're going to want the 3 to 4% off the price to savings. You're not going to save money. I'll actually get you more money for your home, and I'll save you money. I'm not telling you what to charge. That you are in a company that has no boundaries. You have total control, total freedom, total flexibility. And any of you that come from the big stores know that's not the case there. If you want to go from a 7.6 to less than that, you have to get a manager's permission. You're at a 70% split with your company, and all of a sudden you have to reduce your commission. They say, well, we'll let you do it, but now it's 50-50 between you and the broker. That's not what Concepts is about. You have total flexibility to do what you want. You don't need to come to me or Lance or anybody else and say, is it okay to do this? If it's legal and it's ethical, yes, that's it. All right? It falls into those boundaries. All right? So I like that idea too of closing and saying, you know, if I can get more for your house and I can show you how you wouldn't pay any more than you're offering, like, would you be able to sit down with me? The key is to get into the living room. The key is to get face to face. All right, that's all I'm trying to do. This is the same way with the Zillow, with a buyer or anything else. I just need to get face to face with them. Right, I can build a bond with them. I can show my value. All right. Now expireds are actually tougher because there's a reason this didn't sell. There is a reason this didn't sell, and it comes back to the staging, marketing, and pricing. Now the one variable that this week showed me that's not in that staging, marketing, and pricing is market. You know, if you're trying to sell something downtown right now, you will see that it is ebbing, not flowing. A lot of that has to do with COVID and workplaces and needing to be around work and not being around work. There is an ebb there that has nothing to do with staging, marketing, and pricing. Okay, it would even make I'd even make an argument that if you even reduced the price, it wouldn't make any change in what you're doing there, other than setting yourself up for a future failure if it starts to flow again. All right.
so do you think it's worth spending the money to buy Zillow leads?
That's a personal decision I think anybody has to make for themselves. I think there's just as quality, less expensive leads out there, but I've made a lot of money on Zillow in the past. You know, I know a lot of agents that have as part of their business. But you have to look at your own business plan and see if that's something that fits your business plan. You know, if I was a newer agent with you, like you, Lindsay, I would focus on my sphere. I would focus on which Wednesday we're going to go over, by the way. We have a very detailed how to work your database that if you're not working your database, please show up for that. Because that is the absolute foundation of everything that you will do, and it will lead you to where I'm at. And that's, I don't say I don't work. I'm golfing every day. No, I don't take cool leads anymore. Either a past client or referral, or I hand it off. you know? So I love all of you to get to that level because I work with my friends, I work with families, or I work with introductions to people that are friends and family, are past clients, and I enjoy my job, you know? But, so you're trying to get there, cold leads, open houses, you gotta do all that stuff, you know? You gotta do all this things. People come in your open house, people that come in on those leads, and you go out and you service them. Those are the people that are now in your contact database that now you want referrals and, you know, introductions and things like that. So you have to grind to get that fan base. But once you get that fan base, do you have a system to maximize that and work that? Okay. When you look at Sarah Hopkins, who I think's, you know, a model agent in a lot of ways, she worked open houses almost entirely her first like 6-7 years, and then she converted those open houses. And now, I mean, she's still in open houses because of she works for a builder too, but her main part of her business is past clients and referrals from the people she met at those open houses and serviced so well. So she paid her dues, she grinded, and now her grind is different. You know, it's not working with strangers grind, it's working with friends and family who see her as a high character, high level agent. That makes sense? You gotta do one to get to the other. Okay, and Brian York said something to me the other day that made a lot of sense, you know, because a lot of you will look to your friends and family, and you should. But a lot of friends and families don't know how high level you are on a business side until the strangers do. You know, until people you don't know have used you and start to write testimonials and start to write how happy they were with you. Then all of a sudden your friends and family are like, really? You know, and then they start to do it too. So, you know, that kind of struck me as, you know, like, yeah, that's a pretty profound statement, and I believe there's some truth in that. Because your friends and your family know you with one thing, you know, and sometimes representing friends and family can be more difficult because you have this other relationship with them. Versus strangers, it's always business, it's always professionalism.
What are some boundaries you kind of set to keep that? Like, because obviously, like I know in the car business, sometimes it's okay if they buy a car somewhere else because of all of how comfortable they are with you. It's the above and beyond request because you're their friend or their family member, and it can get a little like sometimes overwhelming that it's, you know, 3 months later they're still calling and you hit that rattle, you know. Still.
Yeah, I do. I don't know about if I set boundaries or where to tell you to set the boundaries at.
Or maybe a bad mistake sometime where you felt too intertwined in relationship and real estate.
No, there's times, there's times where clients that are started out as clients have become my very good friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, went to the wedding in Cabo. I mean, and there's things like that. Where we built his house. And that's the first thing that thinks of mine, because he's such a high character, high level guy anyway in his profession, that he was, we built his house and he's walking around and he's, I feel this squeak. And you're like, oh God, you just try to help people much as you can. I try to help all my friends and family out. I don't care about the personal relationship. I know when it's time to be personal, and I know it's time to put on the business hat. Yeah. This is business, and I advise them in the same way that I would advise any person that's going through the transaction, in the same way. And when it's time to be friends, it's time to be friends. When it's time to be business, it's time to be business. So as long as you're giving good advice, it's coming from a place where you're trying to help somebody, I don't see any problem with it. Okay. But the expires, obviously, you see, it's the same thing. I would call Ted and just be like, hey, I saw your home's on the market. This is X, Y, Z. Rory, do you mind if I ask you a few questions about your home? Are you still interviewing agents to sell your home? Their situation might change. No, I was expecting a job transfer with plastics in California, and I decided to stay here so we can pollute the rivers of Iowa instead. But then they go, well, yeah, you know what? We had falling out with the agent, and really didn't have a lot. Communication is usually the number one reason they fire their agent. You ask anybody what the worst part of their agent was. It wasn't they didn't like their personality, but they didn't have any communication. And all these showings, and they dropped off, and then we started hearing from him. Hey, we know what he was doing. He put the sign in the yard, put on the MLS, and then gave up on us. So remember, communication, and sometimes what happens is like, once that newness wears off and you stop getting showings, we get parents to call the seller and tell them, sorry, we have nothing, but this is what I'm doing. I got these ads running. I have probably a house this schedule. We did an agent tour the third week. We have these mailers going out. They need to know what you're doing. And then they need to know the results. You know, you can set up your algorithm results for Miller.com, Zillow, Remap. You can set all these up so your seller can see, hey, we touched 238 people this week. We had 8 clicks, 2 people in. There are no showings. So, and then when it doesn't sell, I always go back. There's one combination of the staging, marketing, and pricing, and of course the fourth variable now that we know, the market. Marketing might have changed, right? So you go in there. When you're really the right agent for the job, are you looking to relist your home? Yeah, we're going to probably start interviewing agents in the next few weeks. Oh, fantastic. When your home sells, where are you moving to? Again, maybe it's home in California. Maybe, hey, we've already bought a home, didn't have a contingency on it. We're moving to Grimes. Oh, cool. What do you think prevented your home from selling? They'll throw the agent under the bus almost every time. You're like, yeah, that SOBs. No, don't ever do that. I'm kidding. Don't ever throw another agent under the bus. You say, well, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. You know, that's it. How did you meet the last agent you were with? Well, we went to the open house. He sold us the house in Grimes. Okay. If there was something that agent could have done differently, what do you think it would have been? See how it's just a conversation, trying to figure out where the problem lies. Then last but not least, I close. I would say, Ted, if I could come over to your house and show you exactly why your home didn't sell, be no cost, no obligation, that I just welcome the chance to meet you. I will tell you why your home didn't sell if I can meet you there. And I focus on staging, marketing, and pricing. I show how I can market the home better than the other agent did without slamming the other agent. I just have different ideas. I have different, avenues that I want to use. I just go over the staging report and think, well, and I show them this is how your home looked in these photos. See how we used his iPhone or whatever. That's great and everything, but I'm going to hire a professional photographer. This is what mine looks like. But what we have to do first, we have to get this large furniture out here. We got to get the cereal boxes off. We got to enhance the property. We got to relaunch this, right? And show them how staging the home and going through all that is going to help accomplish their goal. And last but not least, pricing. If you do all this, I'll get you the price you were asking. Or no, you know what? I tell you what, you're just a little high in price. When you do all these things, you're a touch high in price, but I offer a flexible commission structure. I can save you money. They're at 7%. I'll do it at 6%. And I tell you what, if I sell it myself and there's not another competing offer from another agent, I'll knock it down to 5.5. Does that sound like I can meet you halfway on that price difference?
How often would you say you get the meeting but not the listing?
Again, it's not something I do a lot of now, but I don't know. I think people want, if you have the answer to their problem, they're going to meet you.
Okay.
If you have the answer to their problem, why their home didn't sell, they want to know why their home didn't sell. They're embarrassed their home didn't sell. List your own home and let it sit in your neighborhood for 6 months. And all your neighbors are like, this is not.
I just had one, and
Seriously.
the one that I just had, the reason I ended up, well, not the main reason, but the other reasons I didn't, or that I got it, was the other agent had snow pictures in June, July, and
There's the marketing
August.
piece. There's the marketing piece.
They had incorrect directions to the house.
Marketing piece.
The road was closed for the directions that they did have to the house, which was incorrect. And then the bedrooms were incorrect on the listing as well. And it sat like that for 6 months. And they were in a contract and they couldn't get out of it. But once they did get out of it, then we were able to renegotiate and get off of that. And they're the ones that came to me.
So there you go. It's a marketing piece. Might not even be pricing. Normally it is pricing, but it doesn't almost be pricing. If we stage it right and we market it in a better light, I can get you this price.
Mm-hmm.
And
there was a little bit of price too, and it's like, as you go, you probably have a class in that too, but pricing, if you want to be above that middle $100,000 piece, where you're marketing above that, or if you're gonna market below that. So that was kind of another marketing piece though for price too.
Right. And remember that you hit some price point, you actually have a chance, you can teach them that you have actually a chance to get that or more. I just need you to be willing to take that. Well, if I list it for 250, something will come at 238. You list it at 250, I only expect you to take 250. That's all you're signing up to do. It'll be up to you whether you want to take 238. If that's the best offer we can get, the decision will always be yours. No one will ever put a gun to your head and say you have to take this, other than what we list at. That's what you're signing up through the contract. But I believe you were 265 for 6 months. If you list it at 250, we're in a whole nother search of buyers now. Because we look up at 250,000 and shoot, look at these houses that have gone on in 2 days. I might actually get you 253, 255. There's a real chance if we list it here. But sellers and buyers want the same thing. They want to trust you and they want a confidence in you. So be trustworthy, don't ever BS, and be confident. I tell them, listen, if you listen to my staging, you move my marketing, and you price it right, go ahead and start hacking. I'm at your house, you're moving. Oh, really? You really that confident? Yes. Now, am I batting 1,000? No. I got the listing. And I had about 98% chance that it's going to sell. I don't think I've had like 3 or 4 bombs out of 72 sales. So if you look at the track record, that's it, right? Also, part of your marketplace piece that goes to that. If you're competing against a large agent, Misty Solwich, whatever, remember the more times up at bats, the more strikeouts. So Ted and I might only take 25 listings a piece, but I sold all 25 and got 99.9% of this price to sales price. And I'm not throwing Misty. Misty's a fantastic agent, but she might take 200 listings. And just the sheer numbers alone, she won't have those type of numbers. And neither would Ted or I. If we took those type of listings and sheer number of listings too, we wouldn't have it. So we'd have the same probably success Misty did, So you can combat those agents like that. Like, yeah, I know she's a large agent, but I focus on, I'm very client focused, I'm very service driven.
Yeah, you can turn that against her, right? She's not gonna give you the personal touch that I'm gonna be able to give you. I'm gonna have 100% my focus on you.
When you need someone to talk to, then you call, you get me.
You're not getting
my assistant, you don't get my buyer's agent, you don't get my listing agent, you get me. And we solve the problem together. And if you see here, I took 25 listings this year and I sold every single one of them for 99.9% of this price to sales price. She took a lot more than me, but she's crazy good. But she took 200, she's only at 92% list price to sales price. And out of the 200 she took, she only sold 172 of them. I sold all 25 of them. You can compete against a big agent. You can. Okay?
How do you approach an expired if it's a concepts listing that expired?
So guys, we compete against each other. You're competing against Iowa, you're competing against other Remaxes, you're competing against, it's just the way it goes, man. They'll tell you whether, hey, no, we love Ted, it just expired, letting it breathe, we're gonna relist with Ted. They'll say the same thing about me. And honestly, if they weren't gonna sell through me again, I would rather you guys have it and sell it. And we have this issue too with, I'm walking out of a listing. If it was me, I'm gonna give up the listing. I'll never compete against one of you guys with a listing, and my track record, will say that. I'll actually call the agent, hey, listen, that was Ted coming in and he's fantastic. I think you should go with him. He's better than me. Just throw myself under the bus. But if you might walk in and you have Mariah walking out, she got a family to feed, or she got to eat too, just like you do. She can't say, oh God, Lindsay, I'll just walk away. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. So you gotta get that out of your head. That is not, we compete, we work together, but we compete, not only amongst each other, but within the industry. And that's the way it goes. If she beats you, get better. I'll tell a story. I'm speaking of Misty. Misty